Hello everyone, this is James Liu from Liu Strength and Therapy, and in this video, we'll be talking about the low bar squat along with proper technique with some common mistakes with their fixes. The low bar squat is a variation of the traditional barbell squat, where the barbell is placed lower on the back. This is beneficial as you are biomechanically at an advantage and are utilizing more muscles of the posterior chain. However, it is important to note that not everyone is designed to perform the low bar squat. Lifters with a shorter torso with longer legs will generally favor the low bar squat, whereas a lifter with a long torso with short legs will favor the high bar squat. Another major difference between the two styles of squatting is the torso angle. Generally speaking, lifters adapting to more of a low bar squat may have slightly more forward torso lean. Regardless of your squat style, having an even amount of weight distribution and balance on your feet at all times is key to an efficient squat. The very first step in a low bar squat is barbell placement. Depending on your anatomy and mobility, this may differ from person to person. Generally speaking, the barbell should be somewhere between the upper back and rear deltoids. Squeezing the shoulder blades back and driving the elbows down and forward will help create a shelf on the back for the barbell to sit on. The second step is having a stable and proper stance. As previously mentioned, your anatomy and mobility will play a huge role in your stance. Somebody with poor hip and ankle mobility may need to adapt more of a wider stance with their toes pointed outwards. Generally speaking, I would recommend having the feet slightly wider than shoulder width, with the feet slightly rotated outwards. Christine here has an adequate amount of both hip and ankle mobility and prefers more of a narrow stance in her low bar squat as she feels more powerful in this position. The third step, which is the most important step, is to have an equal amount of weight distribution along the feet. Focus on having 3 points of contact on your feet. This means having an equal amount of weight distribution on your heel and the balls of your feet of the big and small toes. The fourth step is to put the torso and the hips in the most optimal position to squat in. Understand that in a low bar squat, there needs to be slightly more forward lean to help balance your center of gravity as the barbell is placed further on your back. This is done by hinging the hips backwards just enough so the barbell is stacked over the midfoot while keeping a neutral torso. Be sure to avoid any bending of the knees during this step. The fifth step is to properly brace the core to increase intra-abdominal pressure and core stability. This can be done a number of ways and is usually taught differently. I personally recommend taking a deep breath in from the stomach, specifically the diaphragm, and pulling my ribcage down towards the pelvis. A good analogy to think about is if you're wearing a weightlifting belt. Instead of breathing in and creating more space in between the belt and your stomach, do the opposite and breathe in and push your entire abdominal muscles into the belt. The last step is to squat down and not back by breaking from the hips and knees simultaneously. There is a big debate whether or not to break from the hips first, followed by the knees. I am definitely not against this, however, I feel that this is more dependent on your anatomy and mobility, along with preference. The most important factor in this step is to ensure that the torso angle stays consistent throughout the entire range of motion of the exercise. On to the common mistakes. The most common mistake in the low bar squat is perhaps the good morning squat. This is usually caused from not having the weight equally distributed along the feet and simply forcing all your weight onto your heels. To correct this, emphasize step number 3 by focusing on 3 points of contact on your feet at all times and focusing on pushing your legs into the ground to stand up. The second common mistake is breathing incorrectly and not properly stabilizing the core and lower back during the squat. This is usually seen when the lifters take a deep breath in before the squat and having only their chest rise and expand. This can lead to a decrease of core stability and possibly compensation of the lower back. The proper way of stabilizing your spine and core is to practice breathing from the diaphragm. A great exercise to help you with diaphragmatic breathing is to lay on the ground with the legs bent to 45 degrees. Place a small, light object on your stomach and simply take a deep breath in and push that object towards the ceiling. This will ensure that you're breathing deep opposed to breathing from your chest. The last common mistake in the low bar squat is pushing the elbows back excessively. This is usually seen in lifters that feel like they need to sit backwards into a squat and compensate by pushing their elbows backwards to create a stronger shelf. Pushing the elbows too far back can also cause excessive forward lean and throw the entire bar path off. To correct this, focus on having the elbows parallel to your torso or slightly backwards throughout the entire range of motion. This will ensure that the barbell has a strong enough shelf to sit on. If you do have issues keeping elbows parallel to the torso, improving your shoulder and thoracic mobility with different stretches and mobilizations can also help. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down below and we'll do our best to answer them. See you guys next time.